How's that? Okay.
Good.
So, I've been training people from all walks of life for many years now, looking at how to make them more strong, graceful, and resilient. And these are qualities that we practice at Restore Human, which is where I'm a coach full time, and where I've been learning from some great other coaches for that time period as well. So we're a really good team, and we learn from each other. We're a community that promotes growth inside and then for our members constantly. So we're constantly pushing the envelope in terms of how to get better, how to make things more strong, more graceful, and resilient. Those are the attributes. So essentially, embodying those things, of course, is going to look different for everyone. It's going to be practice that takes shape for you with different energy levels, with different tools, and with different interpretations of those relationships. So pause there for a moment. I'm just going to close the windows.
Mm-hmm. And Pax to Restore Human, the studio is in Vancouver, just in case people didn't know where you were at.
Yeah, it's in Vancouver.
So yeah, and they've got a lot of online resources too that I'm sure Pax will talk about later.
Exactly. So once again, it's practicing strength, grace, and resilience in a way that's appropriate for the individual who myself or the team would be training. And to do that using a lot of different tools. So we're not very prescriptive in that not everyone has to pick up a barbell or do a box jump or any kind of specific exercise, really. It's more about listening to where that person's at, seeing what things need to be developed, what things they gravitate towards to make them a better human. And we're constantly evolving ourselves. So I've, for example, recently taken up a bunch of different kettlebell things. And a kettlebell is a heavy ball of iron that you can swing around, and it's quite dangerous to swing around in certain ways. But it's really fun, and it's something new to me. It's a new tool that I'm exploring. So that's essentially what Restore Human does. We find the right tools to fix people up, either to fix up aches and pains, which we think shouldn't be there, really. I mean, you don't want chronic knee pain or even acute shoulder pain or something like that. So being in a pain-free body is baseline. Having good mobility, which is where we're going to start today, is also baseline. Having joints inside your body that function well, where you can reach and you can stretch certain things, and everything just kind of feels like you could do a dance party at any point throughout the day. So that's one of the reasons you could be practicing the Restore Human Method, just because you want to be a better dancer. So the practice today is going to start in about 7 minutes. So you won't need any equipment except for maybe a yoga mat or something, maybe like a carpet. If you're on something soft on the ground, that would be necessary if the ground hurts you, for example, like kneeling, like I'm doing right now. But otherwise, it's going to be quite accessible without any of that anyways. If you have hard floors, we can just move slowly, and you can listen to your body and not go through too much discomfort. However, that being said, the other half of today's talk, apart from the Restore Human idea, like the restorative work, is the resilience side. And the resilience side is where you can take on challenge, where you can take on, say, being beat up a little bit, going through some hardship, some challenge, and coming out better from that. So I don't know if anyone knows the notion of being anti-fragile, but being anti-fragile is essentially being in a system, or say a physiological system, that can handle being stressed and then gains from that stress. So we're lucky that we are human animals that have that happen to us. We can take on stresses, and that teaches us good lessons and either makes us endure more, or makes us stronger or faster, or more mentally stable, or whatever goal comes out of the separate practices we can do. So think of yourself as anti-fragile, I would hope, and you can find all of the ways to be anti-fragile in your different practices. Could be through a yoga practice, through a meditation practice, could be as an author. If you're hitting writer's block and you feel like staring at a blank page is really beating you up cognitively, how does that stress allow you to grow as you stay in that stress? Of course, if you walk away, the stress might go away, but then you're not succeeding at the thing that you want to do. So that's the notion for the other half of the talk. So before we start as well, I want to have everyone think about why they would want to be stressed out. So I've mentioned a couple benefits and a couple side effects from going through stresses there, but think about what yours are. Think about the things that stress you out that then in completing produce a gain for you. Mm. And I'm constantly thinking about that for myself, with relationships, with work, with workouts, with all the seemingly separate compartments of my life that at the end of the day, of course, are not separate at all. So the way you do one thing is to a great degree the way you do many things or everything. It's if I show up with strength in this moment, then I'm more likely to show up with strength in that moment and in the next. And so if you train those attributes, you can bring them with you to whatever your context is. So taking charge of that learning process is a conscious practice. So as we've learned over the weekend, we can choose to promote feeling a certain way. We can choose to overlook feeling certain uncertainties, certain discomforts, right? Yesterday with Danielle doing the meditation on the feeling of uncertainty and going through that consciously, staying with that feeling and then flipping it and noticing that we accept that uncertainty, that we accept where our bodies and our minds were at. And we then infuse love on top of it, which is just kick ass, in my opinion, right? It's like I could feel uncertain and negative, or I could feel uncertain and in love with the fact that I get to live the mystery of life. So those are some ideas to kick off a little rambling speech about strength, grace, and resilience, the physical assessment we'll do, and then the resilience, half physical, half mental training that we'll dive into in a few moments.
But I love that, Pax, and I love that you're able to share that, because that's why I respect you so much and why I feel like you're such a good teacher for everybody, because you see it as a whole picture. I think people get put off when they're just like, oh, I'm going to go see a physical trainer. We're going to make me a bit buff. End of story. But it's not about that. It's a little bit about that. But
if you want it, you can have it. It's just, exactly. It takes work.
It takes work, and it doesn't end there. You overcoming physical battles is also strengthening the mental part of you, which is also strengthening the soul part of you. And so you're able to use these tools like physical movement to improve all these aspects of your life. Like you said, writer's block. Like you're gaining skills in the gym to overcome creative blocks if you let yourself. So I think that's very cool that your approach is like that and welcoming to that.
Especially that framing. it's important that we curate that journey for ourselves and that we frame it. You know, we can create those associations. I want to be a better parent, so I'm going to be healthier in my fitness routine. And then we've created that correlation, and of course it's going to start to bring those energies up in both realms. But if we are unconscious about it, maybe we're just going to the gym and running on the treadmill and listening to really loud music to escape and to not have a conscious betterment happening, a conscious path to be on, then it can be a lot of time wasted. I was recently listening to Joe Dispenza's intensive workshop, and he talks about a group of maids who in the course of a day would do so much physical activity in going about cleaning this resort that they were a part of. So they would be like lifting beds, and they would be, you know, moving sheets, and then they would be like reaching into cupboards and pulling things and pushing things and squatting down. And so in a day, they would get like 8 hours of fitness. But until they were made aware of that, and this is the research bit, until they were educated on the benefits that they could receive from having done all of that exercise, they weren't experiencing those benefits nearly as much as the other people who were aware of such things. So the control group was not told, the other group was told, and then without changing a single thing except for that awareness bit, the reason I'm doing this to create a benefit, that group got those benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that one. That's so good. Okay, I'm gonna it's timing now. I'm gonna mute my mic, and I'm very excited to have this class.
Awesome. Likewise. Yeah, I'm gonna move in here. Carissa's gonna join me. Okay, let's move this up a tad. All right. Yeah, that's perfect. So we're gonna do some joint circles, and I urge you to pay close attention to if anything in your body hurts or feels discomforting or sticky or something like that. Make note of that and make it your project for the rest of the year to start fixing that part of the body up very consciously. This is a baseline where doing this gently, you can promote the health of that area by simply bringing that awareness to it, better blood flow into that area, and so forth. So it has to be isolated from the other parts of the body. We're going to start with the neck, and I don't want to move the rest of my body, so I'm just going to bring my chin down to my chest, and then I'm going to look over my shoulder, and then I'm going to look up to the ceiling, and then down the other side, and down to the chest again, and we're rolling through for a few repetitions, no rush. Nice and smooth. If your neck feels like crackly, if it makes a lot of sounds, if it feels sticky or whatnot, just continue to move maybe through a slightly smaller circle, somewhere where it's not as uncomfortable, but you can still get a smooth range of motion. Breathing smooth. Then we're going to reverse, go the other way. Your body is a use it or lose it system. Move your body parts or they stop functioning well. And the circle is the biggest range of motion that one body part can do at a time, usually. So if we practice this big circle, we get to keep all of those ranges that the neck can go into. Perfect. Look forward. Then we're going to roll the shoulder blades. You're going to shrug You're gonna pull your shoulder blades back, you're gonna reach down into your pockets, and then you're gonna slide and round your chest. Then lift, roll back, down into your pockets, round forward. Lift, back, down and forward, and then connecting into a smooth circle. Giving yourself a little shoulder massage, self-care work, self-check-in as well. How do my shoulders feel today? Separate from the whole body, because you might just have a little tweak happening in one shoulder, so that's the spot to address. Then reverse. Pull back, up, forward, and down. Back, up, forward, down. Couple more. Perfect. Then we're going to come into a kneeling position, or if you're already in a chair or something like that, totally fine. I'm really just looking for space overhead and behind you. So we're going to isolate your rotator cuff, the other shoulder joint here. You're going to lift up, you're going to reach back, and I've got my hand here to prevent my whole body from doing that opening. It's only happening at the shoulder. Reach back, bring your hand down to your thigh, and here knuckles inward. So my hand is now, my palm is facing away. I'm going to reach in reverse. Then I'm going to rotate my palm to face up, and then bring my arm straight overhead. And again into the back range. Reach back, twist your palm, bring your knuckles to your thigh, and reverse. Rotate, lift. Let's do one more here. All the way back. Rotate. Reverse lift. Rotate. Come up. And switch sides. So you can switch kneeling position. Check in with the other knee against the ground there. And lift the arm up. Reach back. Rotate. And reach down. Reach up. Rotate. And reach overhead. And the side view here. Reach back. Rotate. Knuckles to the thigh. Reverse. Rotate. Let's do two more. Reach. Rotate. Left. Rotate. Last one. Open. Big twist. Down. Perfect. Okay, back up to standing. We're gonna balance on one leg. And here, we're just gonna do a little bit of balancing and moving through your femur. So you're gonna start by becoming aware of the rotation. So you're going to lift your heel and then lower your heel. So notice how that looks. I'm gonna rotate my heel up and lower. Lift, lower. Just play with that for a little bit. Make sure you can balance. If you need to hold on to a chair or a wall or a friend, if you have a friend there. Jackie, Natalia, I'm looking at you. Get used to that twist inside your hip. So cool. Your leg can twist in the socket. and then switch sides. Opposite, you can practice your balance or not. More so, focusing on the twist. Twist in and out. The reason we start with the twist is that is a prerequisite for you to be able to throw high kicks. No, for you to do straight lines with your leg. So the more you can twist in here, the better flexion and extension you'll get through those hips. So if you feel tight in rotation, then you gotta practice rotation. Let's do that a few more. Twist, twist. Awesome. Okay, last joint movement. We're gonna look at the spine. We're gonna do this standing. You're gonna try and create a nice big wave. So your head can go back, your ribs can lift, and then your pelvis can tuck. Make sure that you're going through that booty motion. It's very important for you to learn how to control your pelvis. I mean, what's more important, your pelvis or your wrist? Trick question. Practice all of your joints all the time. Become very good at piloting your body. And here it's an assessment on your back. So I really want to know, or your spine. If anyone has some spinal pains, aches, then just listen to that as the class progresses. Don't do anything that might aggravate, anything that showed up here in doing your joint assessment. If you feel loosey-goosey and free to wave around, then that's great. That means your joints have space and they can do some good exercise. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Warmed up. First challenge. Perfect timing. We're going to do burpees together. You might not like burpees, and that's okay. It's going to be your burpee. I'm just going to move down to the ground and back up, and then down to the ground and back up. There's many, many, many ways to do a down and up. A burpee is just one of them. So I want you to, again, maybe kneel down and then bring your chest down to the ground, however you can. So you can walk down. No, this is fine. So I'm just going to lie on the ground for a second, and then I'm going to roll back up, and then I'm going to walk myself back up, and then I could do that backwards. So I could maybe sit down, and then I could roll back onto my back, and then I can roll back up. And actually, yeah, I'll move this down a little. Yeah. So this is our challenge, friends, new friends, colleagues, esteemed people beaming in from beyond. We're going to do this for 10 minutes. You're going to go down to the ground and come back up, and down to the ground and come back up. And that's it. And you're going to focus on the task at hand. Let's go. Down to the ground. Lie down and come back and explore those different options. Knee down, hand down, butt down. Then my back. Then roll up. Maybe I come up through a squat. And I might squat down and lie down again. It's very important. I say that a lot, don't I? A lot of things are very important to me. But we train interacting with the ground at Restore Human because you might take a fall. And to prevent an injury from that fall, it's better that you expose yourself to some of the ways you could fall and to how it feels to load your wrists when you're taking that fall, or to feel the weight on your shoulder if you decide to go onto your back. And we're gonna keep moving. You might get your heart rate up here, check in with your breathing. If you're feeling comfortable, pick up the pace a little bit. You can do some jumps at the top, classic burpee style. Down and up, down and up. This is getting into that mental toughness zone where you just go, yeah, I can do that. I can take that challenge. life throws me a curveball and I can handle it. Down, up. Definitely aim to move in different patterns. Don't do the exact same repetition every time. We just checked in with right shoulder, right hip, left hip. So keep scanning that body part for options. I'm gonna reach my right hand down. I'm gonna sit on my right butt cheek, lie back, roll up. Now I'm pushing through my left hand. And I'm pushing through my left leg primarily.
Hey, Pax.
The body awareness stuff that we train in Restore Human. Talk to me.
What if people can't get to the floor? Can you give modifications for that?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're on a chair, then I just want you using that chair. So imagine I have this super weird looking chair. And it could be sitting down there and then using the chair, trying to touch a knee down to the ground, coming back up. Check if it's accessible on both sides, right? So the goal is for you to get as much of your body onto the ground and then back up at a time. But thanks, Danielle, great point. Just, I want you to be in motion for the next 6.5 minutes still, moving down and up, exploring your environment. Sitting perhaps, I've got my couch. I'm gonna sit on my couch. I'm gonna get up. Can I get up with one leg forward? Can I get up with my hands and the other leg forward? So you need that body awareness to move through different environments. And only being comfortable on a right angled chair, where a lot of people spend a lot of their lives in these sedentary cultures that we've built, it's not very healthy for us. Being able to randomize, being able to get into tons of different positions, all of the permutations that your body can allow for, that is, in my opinion, very worthwhile exploration. Let's move. Good point here. So we're gonna look at the gallery. Teresa's in the back here. Let's see how everyone's doing. Got people moving up, moving down. Got people doing burpees. I love it. See some friends in the mix, see some family members. Thanks for beaming in, everyone. I hope you're having a ton of fun. I see a lot of smiles there. Good stuff. So now that we're about halfway there, keep moving and think about what we talked about earlier with changing your interpretation of why do this. Like, you can smile your way through it and you can have a really fun time. It can be hilarious. You can pretend to be falling the whole time, like in a Monty Python skit, like, whoa, and then you can bounce back up. And, you know, it can be stressful, negatively, or positively. And I urge you to practice the positive side. We've got another 3 minutes of work. Down and up, people, down and up. Getting down onto a chair and then back up. Really have fun with it. Ask yourself, like a cat would, can I sit on that? If I fit, I sit. If I can get there, I'm gonna sit on it. So go sit on it. On the ground, and then back up, and then down, and back up. Last couple minutes. It's nice and warm in here. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
So you might have heard this before, but embrace the suck. Embrace the shittiness. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be sweaty and uncomfortable and kind of bored, perhaps. You might be bored of this. You definitely won't find it as fun as I find all this stuff. I've been doing this for years and creating that neural network, that pathway in my brain that says, hey man, 10 minutes of burpees is super fun, but you probably don't have that internal dialogue going. So it's a chance for you to practice that, for you to change any negative preconceptions and create positive ones. Last minute. Down and up. Down. Yeah. 30 seconds to go. Five, four, three, two, one. Done. Give yourself a nice big hug. Feel yourself. I hope you feel yourself. Find yourself feeling yourself more often. It has to be rooted in the body, I think. We can do the mental work, creating good habits of virtue, creating compassion mentally, creating strength mentally, and the capacity to support others. And I think that's rooted in a physicality that also moves in that way. So you can be compassionate with yourself through doing those shitty exercises that you find uncomfortable and that you know will, however, produce a benefit. So of course, working with someone who can give you that confidence, who can give you that assuredness that you're doing the right thing and that things won't go wrong is very important until you feel empowered enough to make those decisions yourself and you have that innate intuition of, yeah, it's healthy for me to do 10 minutes of burpees 5 days a week or whatever it may be, for me to go and run 5 kilometers or for me to swim in the ocean or other things like that. So, oh man, there's so many things you can do with your body. And I really want you to get curious about all of those things. So a couple extra exercises here. These are going to be less movement, more mental training. You're going to get into a split stance. And you're then going to reach front arm forward, opposite to the front leg. Back arm twisted inward. Looks like this. Awesome. And then we're just going to hold. Now, we really get to listen to the mind. Notice where you're at. Do you feel better after going through that challenge? Do you feel worse in some way? Can you choose to feel better? I met someone once who didn't like to sweat. I said, no, I don't like to sweat. I can't do 90% of what you're telling me might benefit my body, might make me a bit more healthy. I don't like to sweat. It feels gross. I'm uncomfortable, right? Surely there are many moments where you butt heads with things that sound like that. I don't want to do this, I'm uncomfortable. And it's totally fine not to, unless you want the benefit of doing that thing for whatever reason. So practices lead to practices, lead to practices. Your fitness bleeds into your business life, bleeds into your relationship life, bleeds into your meditation practice. Getting okay with the uncertainty of how long are these burpees going to last, getting okay with the discomfort of how long are we going to stay in this position now? My legs shaking, my shoulders are tingling. You can't injure yourself here. That's a good thing. If it gets terribly uncomfortable, you can come out of it. I'm not forcing you to be here. I'm just offering a mirror, a light, for you to get in tune with your body and feel some sensations that have a lot of benefits if we practice them correctly. Oh, we got time. We got lots of time. We got the present moment. To talk a little bit about the physical side of what we're doing, this is the running man pose, or the human torque pose. Essentially, it teaches your body a really efficient and natural way to walk, run, to move on your legs, basically as a bipedal animal. There's this cross pattern in the body. The back leg versus that front arm going in opposition. So when we walk, there's that nice cross pattern. When we run, it's just that, but a lot faster. And if we were to walk with our knees collapsed in, or with a back that's terribly rigid, that doesn't have some swagger, then we're not going to be as efficient or as graceful as we could be. So that's the physiological benefit of this position, teaching your body that cross pattern. Almost there. I hope you brought a towel. I've got sweat dripping down my face. I'm gonna have to get a towel. You can always come back to it if you do find yourself resting. Definitely just come back. You haven't failed anything. There's nothing to fail with practice. You practice, you realize where you can improve. You can improve the endurance of holding this position. One day you get 1 minute, the next day you get 1 minute and 5 seconds. Time, beautiful, shake it off.
How long was that?
5 minutes. Good stuff, human torque pose, 5 minutes. So you know what's coming, obviously. We are doing that on the other side. So switch stance, reach forward, reach back. Bam, looking like this, tall and proud. And we begin. Mental endurance on this one. I'm gonna go check you guys out. See how everyone's doing. good stuff. Power posing, I love it. Embodying that attribute of strength. This is perhaps that writer's block for you. Maybe it's your fitness block, holding this. And you're staring at it and you're going, I have no idea what to write down here. I don't have the words for this. It's going to take some time. It's not easy, not necessarily. You can keep coming back to it. Keep a curious mind, and you'll definitely find some answers. Of course, if there's stuff that you want a direct answer for that a Restore Human might have, email us, reach out, absolutely. Hey, what about that human torque pose? Why did it suck? Or how do I make it harder? I want some more challenge. Hey Pax, how do I make this harder? Go deeper. Maybe wear a weight vest. So many things we can play with. So we're less than halfway there on this side. It's one of my favorite resilience coaching cues. Almost halfway there. You've got this. I know you got this. Drive. Slightly different than inspiration, motivation. It's that ability to move through forward, even when there isn't inspiration or an initial motivator. So if I do my job well as a coach, then I get fired at the end of the program because people don't need me anymore. They're driven. They have a toolbox that's full of sweet tools. They're having fun. They're being creative with their routines. Being empowered and educated towards physical freedom and adventure. That's what Restore Human does. Nice work, everyone. We're almost there. Keep holding on. Hold on for those things that you feel you deserve, that you hold dear. The reason you're doing this practice, the reason you're choosing to follow me today, perhaps strength, grace, resilience, perhaps words of your own that you can carry into the rest of your life. Time.
Oh.
Good work, everybody. Good work. Flannel. Okay. Next, we're going to do a little breathing pattern together. So make yourself comfortable on the ground. You can lie down or you can sit up. And you might have done Wim Hof Method breathing before. It is a super ventilation. We're going to be breathing large, deep, and fast. You can take it at your pace, but know that you will feel lightheaded, pretty much certainly. So like I said, if you want to lie down, it's nice and comfortable, or if you want to just make sure that you have a chair rest or a head rest or something behind you, like that you're not going to feel lightheaded all of a sudden and fall on the ground. I would hate for that to happen. So it is a very simple pattern. You're going to expand your belly and your rib cage as much as possible. Let's do a few light breaths to start like that. So you can breathe through your nose, through your mouth, doesn't matter. It's just about getting a lot of oxygen in and a lot of CO2 out. Perfect, keep that going. Finding your own rhythm. I'm gonna breathe here with Carissa. Okay, 3 more. Then we're going to exhale and hold at the bottom. Let's say 2 more. Last one. Let it go and hold. Comfortable. Hold your breath. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Yet again, that's the theme today. You're gonna feel like at some point, I should breathe soon. See if you can hold that off for another 5 seconds, another 10 seconds. Let's breathe in together. We're gonna normalize here the amounts as much as I can. So breathe in together. Hold at the top. Let it go. And round 2, right into it. So as you're going through that, notice what comes up. Notice if you feel fear or nausea or, again, boredom or frustration. I'm naming the shittier things first. Hopefully you're not feeling those and you're feeling able to give into this experience and enjoy your breathing. Like you're smiling and pushing that air through your body. Three more. 2, 1. Hold at the bottom. Hold as long as you can. You are safe. Let's breathe in together. Hold at the top. Let it go. Final round. You know what to do. Fully in, fully out, feeling the best you can feel. Three more. Two. One. Let it go and hold at the bottom. Fully in. Hold at the top. And let it go. Now, stay where you are, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Acknowledge that feeling. I like the notion that the language of the body is feelings. We have these conversations with our bodies. We allow our bodies to feel different ways. A good yoga class can make you feel like you've just had a few glasses of wine. Good breathing session can make you feel like you just blew your head up with some helium. Or maybe that you smoked your favorite plant or something like that. It's an altered state. And the body has those access points for those altered states. We can create those altered states a lot of the time consciously doing physical practices. So keep doing your physical practices, especially the ones that put you into an altered state that you enjoy the most. And thanks very much. Thanks for coming. Now I'm open for questions or chats. We can chat.
Hey, Pax, I know that you were talking to me before about doing some cold exposure. And I don't know if you want to let everybody know about that, if you want to send out a challenge to people, or if you just want to talk about the benefits.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have a bit of time here. I know my segment's got another 15 minutes, and given that most of you are at home, this won't take very long if you want to accept the challenge. And it's to take a quick cold shower. So I can leave that with you for later. I think my friend Noah is here from somewhere in the forest, and he might not have a cold shower right there, but I will allocate the next 7 minutes to the cold shower challenge. And then if anyone doesn't have access to some cold water nearby, then stick around and we'll do a little mental exercise regarding cold exposure, and then we'll come back for a chat in 7 minutes. I think that is a great idea. So whoever's at home.
Would you like to quickly outline why somebody would want to do this? Because most people are going to say, no way, Jose.
Embrace the suck, people. So there's a lot of benefits to exposing your body to cold water. But in the case of taking a 60-second cold shower, it's really more about that mental shift of, I don't want to do this, but I know it's not going to harm me. Only going to make me very temporarily uncomfortable. And I promise you, at the other end of those 60 seconds, when you bounce out of the cold shower, you're going to feel awesome. So that's a main reason to do it, to go through something that you at first didn't want to do. And then especially with cold, it 99% of the time makes people feel pretty awesome at the end. So
Gideon already ran to take a cold shower. So Pax has been coaching me on cold showers for a couple years, and something that's really, really beneficial is that our body's response is to panic and start contracting. And so it's really good to go into it and to stay calm, slow your breath, I'm okay, and to fight against that urge to panic.
Absolutely. So it is, great point, Danielle, a mental training. So your body's going to want to do stuff like shiver or reach for the towel or something like that, or you might tense up. You might just want to like force yourself through it, and that's a really good lesson, Danielle, that you don't want to allow those things to take hold of you as much. Notice when you start to get out of control, and then gently bring yourself back to that state of like, oh, I can handle this. I'm okay.
And so I'm going to go do that. And then Carly had a question in the chat. Do you have to start cold packs? She usually goes cold at the end.
Nope. 60 seconds, start cold, end cold.
Okay, that's everybody, you don't have to do it, definitely. But if you are a little bit tempted, this is your one opportunity to experience this with 36 people. And we can be in it together. So I'm going to leave the camera on, and I'm going to go. Gideon's already taken one. I've heard him. And I'm going to jump in after, and then come back and we'll report.
Awesome. Okay. Karis is going to go take one. I'm going to man the chat here.
He's going to answer questions as they come in.
All right, so. For those left back here, you might hear Carissa going, and then calming yourself down. It's totally doable. It does require a bit of practice. And just like any new skill, it's going to take a bit of time to learn. But I've been doing it for 6 years now, and it's changed my life for the better in every single way. When I go to the ocean, I'm not afraid of going for a quick dip, and I feel so refreshed after. And then I can get back to playing frisbee with my friends or something. Yeah, cold water, importante, very important stuff. I wonder if my sister went for a cold shower. She's shaking her head. Yes, and she'll do it later. Okay, I'm holding you to it. My man Noah is in an incredible place. Love it. Great questions in the chat, people. I'll address both of those points in a second or in a couple minutes when everyone's back. So we've got some questions about cellular benefits. We've got some questions about immunity. There was a question about the breath holding in terms of conversation there. I'll address the questions in the chat. So first thing about breathing, someone mentioned it was easier to hold on the inhale than the exhale. And that makes a lot of sense. Exhaling, you don't have that residual air in your lungs to feed off of. The breath pattern is going to get you better at breath holding over time. It's not like one is better than the other. Holding on an exhale, holding on an inhale, they're slightly different practices, but they're both good. Breath holding in general makes you able to resist CO2 buildup, which is that feeling of fatigue. Let's say if you're in the middle of 10 minutes of burpees and you feel a bit of fatigue, then having better resistance against that CO2 that's building up is going to improve your endurance or your feeling of comfort with exercise. Then in terms of the immunity part, absolutely, cold training can boost immunity. Likewise, the breathing practice that we did. This is why they're in tandem in the Wim Hof Method. So in doing hyperventilation, you're producing alkalosis in your bloodstream, which is changing the pH level of your blood by a fraction, but that's enough to cause bacteria and some viruses and funguses and stuff to not enjoy themselves in a slightly more alkaline bloodstream. It's a very transient effect, and that's where people sometimes take on the breathing practice every day. And then in terms of the changes on a cellular level from cold, exposure every week has been researched. However, that's with ice bathing. So the cold shower is more going to give you a bit of cortisol, for example, a bit of adrenaline, that little bit of jolt of energy, which is good in terms of producing your own natural stimulation hormones. So good to maybe start the day with and not necessarily end the day with. Then in terms of ice bathing, you're getting deeper into your ability to thermoregulate and to produce more brown fat, which is a very cellularly active type of tissue in your body. So it produces a lot of ATP. And at the end of the day, the more ATP your body produces, the more you can utilize the immune system. So really, if you have more cellular energy overall, if you adapt your cells to be better at producing heat/energy through cold training, you will boost all natural functions. You'll boost the net amount of energy available for cell reparation, for production of white blood cells, for oxygen delivery to your brain. That's where you feel like turned on mentally from doing the practice as well. So, I mean, it's huge. There's so much going on under the hood biologically. So in terms of, frequency, once a week with an ice bath, daily cold shower in the morning would be great. The breathing practice could be done a few times a week. The more comfortable you get, perhaps daily as well. And let me see here, cold bath. Yeah, so I'll dive into that as a final point on the cold. So the colder the water, the less time you have to spend in there for your core temperature to drop. So when your core temperature drops, you release cold shock proteins, and those are the things that cause a lot of the adaptations. So if you're in a somewhat cold bath for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, then you can get that core temperature drop. You feel kind of that deep cold set in almost to your bones. You're likely producing that shift of cold shock protein production. Same with going into the ocean. The ocean is regularly 6-8 degrees, something like that around here in Vancouver. So if you're in the ocean for like 2 to 5 minutes once a week, you are most likely getting those benefits as well. So the colder the water, the shorter the exposure, the warmer the water, the longer. And fun fact, you can do it in the Caribbean Ocean as well. You can go into 17-degree water and spend an hour and a half there and drop your core temperature and get cold exposure benefits. So if anyone wants to practice in the Caribbean, then you can do that too.
Okay, a couple more questions.
Oh, questions coming in. How do you make your ice bath? You buy a trough, a tank, and then you fill it with water and ice.
But for those of you who just want to do it at home, what I did before was I got like giant Tupperware and put them in the freezer full of water. And then you can just put those in your tub. That's a really cost-effective, super easy way to do it.
Make a big ice block.
Without buying a trough.
With whatever Tupperware you have around, just make a ton of ice cubes for your tub.
Yogurt container, etc.
And then if you shower every day warm, does this follow, or is this a different time of day than the shower? Okay, yeah, so you could end your warm shower in the morning with cold. That would be perfect. Get that shift from warm to cold, and it'll have that same mental effect of like, whew, okay, I'm uncomfortable, and then I got this, and then my day feels a bit more charged.
And what about finishing hot? If I do hot, then cold, then hot, would that still work?
Not technically. Technically, you don't want to finish hot because A, on a mental level, you're ending at the comfortable stuff, which is not the point. And then B, if you are doing a longer cold exposure, but then bringing your core temperature back up, then also not the point. You're doing it outside of your body instead of your body having to heat itself back up.
Any safety concerns for beginners staying in too long, etc.?
Yeah, so in terms of staying in too long, if you're at home, then of course you have the safety of the hot tap. So you can always just, if you do start to shiver, then you can bring yourself back by using hot water there. If you're out in nature, definitely have a buddy, have a person with you, have very warm clothes, have some hot chocolate available, and then less is more in the beginning. So, 60 seconds, and if you feel good, do another 60 seconds on the same day maybe, and start to do your own research in terms of how much is good for your body. It's not unusual to shiver after the fact. So you do get a kind of an after drop. You can get definitely a very cold feeling at the end, but as long as you keep feeling safe, you have the resources there to warm yourself back up, then there's no risk. So
And movement.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So movement as well. Movement helps. So if you're going into the ocean or something, then you can put your clothes back on and continue moving, continue walking, go for a little jog or something, and warm yourself back up with mechanical effort.
That's so awesome, Pax. Thanks. That was jam-packed.
Yeah,
Jam-packed.
we crushed it. Awesome work.
Woo! Good job, everybody. That was really fun. I love that. And
Any books to recommend?
books to recommend?